This won't be a very long session. I want to explain what I was explaining before because I understood that only now the session is being recorded. So we have now, I'll just briefly explain the process. We are now at a time when we have elections for the WCAOC. WCAA is the World Council of Anthropological Associations, which is a chamber together with IUAES. They're both chambers of the WAU, World Anthropological Union. As you know, both chambers used to be apart, but about 7-8 years ago, they came together under the umbrella of WAU, which is the logo that you have here present, okay? So we are now two chambers that have, each chamber has its own autonomy. WCA has an organizing committee. It's basically the board, as you would say simply in English, but it's called organizing committee. And IUAS has an executive committee, which is also the IUAS board. It's the same thing. So what we do is each one has its own autonomy, but we also, of course, work together since we are under the umbrella of WOW. And we've been trying to come together in the last few years, bringing things kind of, together, working jointly. For instance, WCA started in 2020 a series of webinars, which later on, 2-3 years after, became WOW webinars. So they're now, for instance, co-organized by WCA and IUAS. Amongst other things, we also have monthly a WOW meeting, a WOW steering committee meeting, which means that some members from the WCA organizing committee and the IUAS executive committee meet together. And we also, once every 3 months, have a general meeting of everyone in both boards so that we can communicate and debate things better, in a better way. Okay, so WCA, for the ones who don't know, I know that everybody knows, but WCA is an association of associations. So in general, there were some exceptions, but in general, the members of WCA are associations of anthropology that come from all over the world. And the more all over the world, the better. We do want to have diversity, to have associations coming from basically all continents, from all over the world. IUAS is an older association, which started about 20 years before WCA. WCA started in 2000 something, if I'm not mistaken. And IUAS has been always an association of members. So it's individual anthropologists who become members of IUAS. Now, this is the basic rule. It doesn't mean that there weren't in the past some associations as members of IUAS and vice versa. But this is the basic thing. The general is that WCA is an association of associations and IUAS is an association of individual anthropologists. Another thing I have to explain is that thus far, up till last year, it was basically IUAS duty to organize congresses, okay? And there used to be world congresses, big, huge congresses that took place every 4 years. And then something that was called like interim congresses. The last big one was in Florianopolis in 2018. We are now slowly changing that. We had the first WOW Congress last year, 2024, in November in South Africa. And that was indeed the first WOW Congress because, as I said before, there were IUAS Congresses because it was IUAS that had the membership and it was basically something that IUAS used to do, organize the Congresses. From last year on, it's a WOW joint venture. So it's a joint venture of IUAS and WCA. We work together towards the organization of the Congresses. We are also revising our OGRs, basically our basic rules. That's what basically they are. And we are, in principle, setting the idea that the principle that the Congresses will take place not every year, but every 2 years. We also decided that there will not be huge World Congresses and annual Congresses. They will all be WOW Congresses, then they will all have the same importance, but they will be biannual instead of taking place every year. We thought that both WCA and IUAS have subsections. In IUAS, they are the commissions. In WCA, they are basically the task forces. And so those systems of both organizations can indeed, if they want, organize small symposiums, etc. But we will basically have one Congress every 2 years. The reason for this is that, as you all may understand, organizing a World Congress is not an easy duty. It's complicated. And even more complicated nowadays, since we have all the issue of being face-to-face or being a hybrid or a remote Congress, so that even complicates things more. So we've taken also some decisions on that I'm not going to go into the OGRs now and into the rules that a committee designed to revise the rules of the Congresses has the work that commission has done thus far. Those are things that everyone who will become part of the WCAOC will get to understand, to know and to understand. But basically that's it. The Congresses will take place every 2 years. So the upcoming Congress will take place in 1 month, basically in Guatemala, and in Antigua, Guatemala, and the other one will take place in 2 years. So in 2027 in Lisbon, I will be the main organizer, but I will have the association of the Portuguese Anthropological Association and several universities together with me. And that's how it's going to be. Now, going back to these elections, as I said, IOAS and WCA have different rules concerning elections. IOAS only elects people every 4 years, but WCA does that every 2 years. Sometimes it's 2.5 years, depending on Congresses, depending on several issues, but it's 2 years. So the last board was elected and was in functions up till now, and we are now going to do the election for the next board, which will keep in function for the next 2 years, sorry. The rules are basically that the rules are, number one, the members of the OC, so the board has to be elected. We decided in South Africa there will no longer be appointed members. People have to be elected by the legal constituents, which are the associations, okay? Point one. Point two, those people are elected for a 2-year term, and they may have a second term. So normally people are entitled to have 2 terms, 2 + 2. Except, for instance, my case. I am now the deputy chair of WCAA, and Gordon Matthews, here present, is still the chair of WCAA. The rules of WCAA say that the chair, who is a chair for 2 years, will step down after those 2 years, and the person that was elected 2 years before as deputy chair will then become the chair. So that's what is going to happen within the next few weeks after we close the election. Gordon will step down and I'll step in as chair. That's why I'm chairing this session, basically because I also kind of was the head of this elections committee that we organized just to arrange the bureaucratic process, okay? So the process is the following. We had this opening for candidacies basically open for almost 2 months, actually 2 months, I think, because we first said that the deadline to present proposals for candidates to become part of the WCAOC would be September 1st. But then we really wanted to encourage people from various countries, various regions of the world to be candidates. So we publicize it more and we engage in several conversations with colleagues to try to make people be candidates and to involve associations from all over the world. And so we finally set the deadline of September 20th, okay? So it closed down on September 20th. So basically the aim of this call was really to involve as many people from different regions of the world as possible. The idea is to have a board composed by as many individuals coming from different areas, different regions of the world as possible. So it's normally not we prefer to have, people from Latin America and Africa, Europe, Asia, then we cannot really, it would not be right. And it would not be according to our principles to have, for instance, 5 people from Latin America or 5 people from Africa or 5 people from Europe and then the rest from elsewhere. So we want diversity for different reasons, because we are a World Anthropological Association and because we encourage diversity and we encourage associations from all over the world, being small countries, big countries, it doesn't matter, to be involved in this worldwide anthropological association, especially in a world where we think as anthropologists that the world needs anthropologists, although the world seems to think they don't. Okay, that's one of the things we've been discussed in our task forces, in our webinars, etc. So we had the process. It closed down on September 20th, and then we set the date of today for the candidates to present themselves publicly. This is being recorded, so it will be put in our website, because the way the election will proceed is that we will have the presentation today, and then Michelle Bouchard, who is currently the secretary, will, and Tian, our communications officer, will then open the election probably later on today or tomorrow. They will explain that, and it will stay open for a few days because the voting process is online. In order to do that, we received all the documents from all the candidates, and those documents include, I'm sorry for the people who heard this before, but I'm just repeating because now it's being recorded. Those documents include a letter, the short CV, one-page CV, a letter of intent, and a letter of support from an association that the person belongs to or that decided to support the candidacy, okay? That's the first part. Now, the candidates are here today, except for two candidates that cannot be here, Veronica from Argentina, who couldn't make it, and Cristina Rocha from Australia. So they have sent their videos, and these videos will be also made available in the website, I assume, Tian, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because the people who are going to vote, which are the associations from all over the world, need to have access to both the documents and the two videos of the persons who cannot be here today, right? So all the delegates have received the documents through the mail that Michelle sent out before yesterday, and they will have the videos available on the website, okay? So this is the process, and then, as I said, the election will stay open, I think, for 8-10 days. We still have to see, and then after that, we will make the results public. And that will be just shortly before the Guatemala Congress. So it's basically in the Guatemala Congress that I will step in and Gordon will step out. Before we move on to the presentations, so I will ask you all, especially the candidates, of course. I see some people here, of course, who are not candidates, but they are part of associations. I will ask the candidates to basically present themselves. They will have 5 minutes to do it. They can address whatever they wish to address. Normally, people address items that have to do with their CV and their intention to work in WCAA. What do they want to do? How do they think that they can contribute to world anthropology? As I said, then the elections will be done once the people have voted, and we will publicize the new organizing committee. Now, normally the WCAA OC meets once a month, every first Friday of the month, normally at 2 p.m. UTC, because we have simply seen that that is the most consensual time to meet, because some people, as I said, are in the far west and others are in the far east, right? And we have members in our organizing committee who come from most places, but we will see. Now, just a final word about the WCOC that is now stepping down, okay? In the last 2 years, we had Gordon Matthews here present, University of Hong Kong, American University at Hong Kong as chair. And I want to publicly thank Gordon Matthews here very, very much for his work. And also because, as you might know, we went through a certain turmoil in the last 2 months, well, concerning internal problems in the organization of the Congress. The good thing is that we've overcome them. So things are okay. And I want to thank Gordon for all his work and for supporting and enduring all this work that he's been doing for the past 2 years. So that's my first acknowledgement and thanks. The second one, of course, goes to everyone in the committee, in the organizing committee that are now stepping down. So the people in the organizing committee thus far in these 2 last years were Gordon Matthews as chair, me as co-chair, okay? Basically, not co-chair, it's called deputy chair, okay? Sorry. Deputy chair, Michel Bouchard as secretary. He was an appointed member. He's now running for secretary. Helen MacDonald, and then helped by Ed Lebo as treasurer. Then we had as members of the organizing committee, Francesca Deklich, who's here present, Bella Feldman Bianco, Francesca Deklich from Italy, Bella Feldman Bianco from Brazil, James Chen from China, Leah Ferrero from Argentina, myself, I'm from Portugal, Gordon, I've said it, he's from Hong Kong, and Michelle is from Canada, and Ed from the US. Am I missing somebody? Let me see. No, I don't think I'm missing somebody. So I think I've named them all. So basically, Bella Feldman Bianco from Brazil, Francesca Deklich from Italy, and Leah Ferrero from Argentina are stepping down because they have fulfilled their 4 years, 2 + 2 years in the WCAOC. Michelle is running now for the role of secretary as an elected member, which he wasn't as far. And Ed Lebo is running for treasurer. The other people who are running are Gonzalo Corvetto from Chile. I don't see him anymore, but he must be. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Gonzalo Diaz Corvetto from Chile, who's running for the position of deputy chair. Francesca Deklich from Italy, who's also running for deputy chair. And then we have several other elements who are running for members of the OC, because the only 4 roles that we have that are specified are chair, deputy chair, and then treasurer and secretary. All the rest of the members are members. But then in the meetings, in the beginning of the new OC, of the new organizing committee, we decide amongst us who will do what in the different duties that we have. You have also all received, when the call for candidacies was made, you also received one document that basically explained what the duties of the people in the WCAOC are. Basically, take care of delegates meetings, organize the webinars together with IOAS, attend to other issues such as sometimes writing letters, which are normally the duties of the chair or deputy chair, but we take a lot of decisions together. We work as a collegial democratic board, and also, of course, interact with IOAS, since we are a bicameral association, right? So this is based, oh, and sorry, I was talking about the candidates, I didn't finish, sorry. So besides that, we have Gabrielle Daron, who is the current president of the ASNA, South African Association president, who is running to be a member of the WCAOC. And we have Nin Sapalo from the Philippines, who is also running for a position in the WCAOC. So as you can see, we have a lot of diversity. Plus, we have the 2 colleagues who cannot be here today, which is Cristina Rocha. Cristina Rocha is actually a Brazilian woman, but she's naturalized Australian, and she has worked in the Australian universities for 30 years. She's now at the Western Sydney University. And then we have Veronica from Argentina, who cannot be here today either, who's also running for a position in the WCAOC. So I think I've named you all. Michel has his hand up, so please.
Oh, I think you might have overlooked James Chen in China, who's not continuing as the OC on the organizing committee.
He's continuing.
Yes, yeah, but I don't think you mentioned him.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, right. I'm very sorry. I only mentioned the ones that are stepping down, and I forgot to mention the ones that are staying. Basically, the ones that are staying is me, because I'm deputy chair and I'm becoming chair, and James Chen, because he came into the OC less than 2 years ago. Actually, he replaced a colleague who had to leave. So James Chen is continuing in the OC because, as I explained before, he's entitled to 2 terms. So James Chen from China is our colleague that is staying in the OC, plus me. And if they are elected, of course, Ed and Michelle have already the experience of being in the OC. Michelle for a longer time. Ed, he's been helping us with the treasurer duties for the past 1.5 years. So they are also quite acquainted with what we do in the organizing committee. And I must explain that it's some work, but it's not too much. Like I said, we meet once a month, and unless there are crises like the one we just got through, unfortunately, they don't happen normally. I've been involved in this for 12 years, and this was the real big crisis we had. So I'm hoping we will have a smooth and fun term, and that everybody will enjoy themselves, and that we will all help each other towards the goal of making anthropology. It's not making anthropology great again, please, but it's continuing to have anthropology as an important discipline within the human sciences that can counteract all the terrible things that we're seeing happening, that we are seeing happening throughout the world, in a world that seems to be covered with bureaucrats and politicians who couldn't care less about the human sciences or humanity or human rights or at all. So let's hope we can counteract that, and that we can all work together towards that goal. So having said this, I will give the word to Gordon, first of all, as a stepping down chair, to see if he wants to say anything, and then I will give the word to all the candidates so that you can present yourselves, and there will be a period for Q&A, questions and answers, if anyone has questions that they want to ask the candidates. Gordon, please.
Let's just get started as soon as possible. Let's hear from people, because we're
That's
half
all
an
you
hour
want
into
to
it.
say.
We
That's
want
all
to hear
you
from
okay. Okay. All right. So should we start with Gonzalo? Gonzalo, let's go from west to east.
Okay, thank you, Clara. I will share a presentation because I don't trust in my English. I hope it will get better the sooner as possible. So hope you are seeing what I'm seeing.
Now we do, yeah. You have 5 minutes, okay? We need to...
I know. I
Okay.
put it in my cell phone to ensure the 5 minutes. So
okay,
good
go
morning,
ahead.
good afternoon, good evening, and good night for everyone. My candidacy was endorsed by the Chilean Anthropologists Association and also by the Latin American Anthropology Association. First of all, I don't want to run. I know I have 5 minutes, but if Chilean people runs, no one will understand the English, so I will be just slow mode. I want to start to say thank you for being here. Thank you also for the organizing committee to make this possible, but also for the delegates to be here, to listen, to exchange possibility for the future of our WCAA. So I have divided my presentation with my 4 last minutes and 3 main points. So my personal presentation, what are my motivation to be here as deputy chair in the WCAA election, and some possibility to think about the future of WCAA. So,
your slides are not changing. Is this normal?
No, it's not normal. I was going, okay, I will not use
okay, now they did. Now they did.
Okay, so I was saying that I will divide my presentation in these 3 main topics. So personal presentation, WCAA motivation, and some possibility to think the future about WCAA. About my personal presentation, people that doesn't know me, and I studied anthropology in the south of Chile, in the city of Valdivia. It's not a metropolitan anthropology. And then I went to do my master and my PhD program in Brazil, especially in the University of Brasilia, by the guidance of the Professor Gustavo Lins Ribeiro. Actually, now I'm part of the Department of Anthropology in the Catholic University of Temuco. It's also in southern Chile. It's not also not a metropolitan anthropology, but we have a PhD and master program. And currently, I'm the director of postgraduate of all programs from the university. So my motivation to be here today with you is I always trusted that the collective efforts that we can make as anthropologists, beside our research, beside our teaching, can always make some marvelous, some great fruits. So I was able to be part of the National Anthropology Association, but also by ALA, the Latin American Association of Anthropology, where I'm currently the secretary of the association. I was very delighted to be part of 2 task forces in the WCAA, and one's about values and other about making anthropology global. And it was for me very important to see how the possibility to exchange thoughts with different kinds of anthropology. And I know it's not easy to put it together, but I think that is the most relevant thing about this association, that we can trust that we can get to new points that maybe we didn't see it coming before. And my 2 minutes left, I want just fastly go on some points that I think that are very important to think about WCA. First of all, to support all and collaborate all to the new share of the WCA on all the organizing committee. Also to support the participation of WCA in the World Anthropological Union. Also for me, it's very relevant to maintain great initiatives that have led by the WCA, like the YALU, task forces, webinars. And also it will be nice to think about the possibility that's something that is be written in the constitution of WCA. It's about promoting a global network of postgraduate students. It would be nice to think about at least about that. And it will also be great to expand the council memberships for further new associations. And I also will be glad to consult more regularly the WCA Advisory Board. I think many people have passed here with very great experience that we have to recover. Finally, my last chart, I would be nice also to think about to link always the task forces with written production, sometimes with magazine, but also maybe with more public anthropology. I also would like to think about doing global training courses, maybe with a gifted possibility, giving not free. I mean, it's not have to be a real cost. And at least finally, I would like to highlight the professional scope of the discipline. And also, I think it's very relevant to that anthropology has to be in public global sphere. So I think I have my 5 minutes here. Thank you, Clara.
Thank you very much, Gordon. Sorry, Gordon, I'm looking at Gordon's photo, sorry. Thank you very much, Gonzalo, for your presentation, and thank you for sticking to the time. So for the sake of having the candidates that are running for the same position, we will have Francesca Deklich, who is also a candidate for deputy chair. Please.
Okay, good afternoon, morning, evening, everybody. I don't have a PowerPoint, but I would like to start in saying who I am, and probably I already written somehow who I am. I'm an anthropologist who's done both basic research and applied anthropology. Worked in different health projects or cooperation projects, or as a consultant. And as a basic research, I've done work in especially in the Western Indian Ocean countries, like in Somalia, and then with refugees from Somalia in Tanzania and in the United States, and then in northern Mozambique. And I also some research projects in Chile. Hello, Gonzalo, maybe we can meet sometimes for other reasons. But the reason why I'm saying so, because these two souls of anthropology are important, I believe, in the interaction all over the world. What I was able to see in WCAA while I was working this last 4 years, I mean, that of course, anthropologists have a common background, but there are a lot of differences in the anthropologists around the world. The different concept of what anthropology can or cannot do. there are different views on applied anthropology and what really anthropologists can do. So what I believe it is important is that there is a more sharing of these different souls and of the different associations, so that we get more informed about what actually anthropologists around the world are actually doing and care, and so improving what they can actually do together. There is a special situation at the moment, and that we all know, that is, first of all, an hegemony in anthropology of the Anglophone words, so that make it difficult for anthropologists all over the world to put forward the research topics, the research products, the indicators for evaluation of careers, and the ranking of the journals in English language often hampers that people who don't come from the Anglophone world really get their own space. And this is a very important issue in WCAA and in the WOW. And then the other issue is that anthropological discipline is under attack these days, as are other humanities and social science disciplines. As we know, there are new trends that disregard anything that does not correspond to cost benefits criteria. And so already a number of departments have been closed because of these policies. A widespread audit culture risks to destroy the freedom of thought as well as the freedom of teaching, and replacing with an apparent systematization and accountability of the academic world, while in reality it's inherent to destroying the critical thinking and that the anthropological methodologies have, and this in reality is devaluated and delegitimized. So I think that as a consortium of associations, WCAA holds enormous potential in addressing these issues, and especially in favoring that an awareness of what this audit culture is doing, and what the actually aim is of, and so that together we can try to counteract what it is. People sometimes feel annoyed by the fact that there is a collection of data through bureaucratic and administrative system, but the actual final end is not so well known. So some department of fine arts, as I was saying, they were already closed, and as well as humanistic science topics and departments. So should I end up elected as a president, I believe that what is to be done is to favor the exchange of experience among the associations also about this thing, so that a number of issues can be addressed together.
Francesca, I'm sorry for interrupting, but your 5 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So now let's have Neen. Neen, are you there? I'm following the order I have in my paper.
Hello, I'm here. Yes. Sorry.
We don't see you. We just see you picking some.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, hi.
I'm sorry. So I'm currently doing field work. I'm in the field and I have terrible internet connection. I just bought some internet data and I'm connected through my phone. So if I drop off,
we can see you very well. We can see you very well, and you can listen very well. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Noreen Sapalo. My colleagues here in the Philippines call me Neen or Cherry. I currently serve as the president of Ugnayang Pang-Agham Tao, or UGAT, our National Association of Anthropologists. Currently, I'm also assistant professor at the Anthro Department of University of the Philippines, Diliman, which we think is the first anthropology department in Asia established during the American colonial period. Let me just say it's a privilege to be considered for the WCAA Organizing Committee. I am an engaged anthropologist, and I'm deeply aware that the future of our discipline depends on how we connect to the world outside our classrooms and academic conferences. I think that's my main point. I don't have a PowerPoint, but I prepared my talking points. And right now, I acknowledge that we face interconnected challenges worldwide. Climate change, the restructuring of work under digital technologies and the advent of artificial intelligence, persistent social inequalities, among other equally urgent things. And I really believe that in these contexts, anthropology has a very urgent role. We bring attention to how global systems are experienced on the ground, and especially to the cultural logics that shape how communities can adapt, can resist, or imagine alternatives. So in particular, for me, public and engaged anthropology is very, very important because it's technically an ethic of accountability and collaboration. Public anthropology to me is all about opening our knowledge to wider audiences, and engaged anthropology is about working alongside communities as partners, as co-generators of knowledge. And both of them remind us that anthropology cannot stay inward looking as a discipline. It must be held accountable, it should be accessible, and it should be transformative. And as a younger anthropologist, I see how vital it is that anthropology remains relevant and visible to the next generation, to policymakers, and to the wider general public. So if entrusted with this role, in my statement of intent, I talked about three pillars, so to speak. So first is all about knowledge exchange. I envision WCAA to become a hub where associations can share best practices in public or engaged anthropology. So around the world, I know that associations have already been innovating in outreach and collaboration, but many of these lessons remain local. In the Philippines, for example, this year, the Anthro Conference in the Philippines, organized by UGAT, has deliberately opened its annual we've deliberately opened our annual conference to community partners of anthropologists. So these include indigenous leaders, public school teachers, NGOs, and grassroots organizers. So we anticipate that their presence can transform our usually very academic conversations. And I hope that it would be a reminder that anthropology is strongest when it is in dialogue with those beyond the academy. And WCAA, I think, can help make these practices circulate globally. My second point in my statement of intent was all about highlighting community-engaged research. I want to work to foreground collaborative and reciprocal approaches in all WCAA activities, because I think primarily anthropology should be able to give back to partner communities, maybe strengthen their capacities, open space, and offer them platforms for them to speak for themselves. And third is all about strengthening our digital reach. I'm someone who works across both academic and public platforms. I make it a point to write op-eds, do radio interviews, boost academic research on social media. And I see the potential for WCAA to expand its digital presence. And this is how I think we could reach younger scholars, anthropologists, and publics who live in online spaces. And I think equally important, I really want to amplify Asian and global South perspectives to make sure our voices and concepts get to shape global anthropology and global discourses. As it is, the WCAA is already a network of solidarity, and my vision is to just make this network more public, more engaged, more maybe urgent in responding to challenges of our time. And as a younger anthropologist from Asia, I want to bring both experience in leadership and the energy to help WCAA grow into a more dynamic and global space for dialogue and for action. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I was going to tell you have your 5 minutes, but you finished just when the 5 minutes went up.
Yay.
Okay, so now we will have Gabriel Larong from South Africa. Thank you. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. You're muted, Gabriel. We can see the video, we can see the PowerPoint, but we cannot hear you.
Yeah, have you, can you hear me now?
Now it's fine. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, morning, good evening, colleagues. Thank you so much for having me here. And it's truly a privilege to be able to speak to you and to the wider delegates. just to consider the possibility of me joining the WCAA's Organizing Committee. And just to start to give you some context about who I am, I'm the current ASNA President, Anthropology Southern Africa. I became the president from 2024, and I've been a member of ASNA actively so from 2015, which really speaks to my involvement in anthropological work and my interest in extending the reach of anthropology beyond the classroom or beyond academic papers. I've been a student representative from 2015 to 2017 and an ordinary member of the Executive Council from 2022 to 2024. I currently teach as a senior lecturer at Rhodes University in South Africa, a variety of modules, but I also conduct health research or research on health systems utilization as well as collaboration. So I mainly focus on medical anthropology, but like many other anthropologists, we can extend our reach beyond our primary area of focus. And so the anthropology discipline within South Africa is currently, and Southern Africa to say, is currently at a crossroad where we say in terms of age and geography, we can see a clear shift in the demographics of people getting a lot more involved in this organization, but also in the discipline itself. This we're able to see from participation in conferences where there's a lot more younger people in terms of age, but also in terms of career path, who are getting more involved in the discipline. And the discipline has been quite, has experienced a number of phases from the previous years where anthropology was used as a way of supporting apartheid in South Africa to a phase where senior anthropologists apparently took the anthropological space as a way of showing power and superiority, to now a space where there's a lot more accommodation of diversity in terms of voices, age, as well as geographical areas. So really from this experience of what I've been going through within the anthropology Southern Africa for the past decade is that I've been experiencing how we've seen opportunities of good values from senior anthropologists being passed on to the emerging anthropologists, but also the difficulties needed in having honest conversations. That when we're needing to ensure that there's a change and a positive one in the society, but also within the discipline, that we have to have honest conversations, and sometimes they are uncomfortable. So what do I propose to bring to the World Council of Anthropological Association with these experiences? First is to really ensure that there's more visibility and opportunities for emerging anthropology academics and students, and to also work towards creating more room for learning and contributing towards the development of the discipline by this demographic of the discipline beyond just the current yearly congresses. And of course, I'm aware of the different seminars that take place. But again, the question will be how visible are the seminars, but also how wide-reaching are they? And so how do I think about this being implemented? Firstly, is through the development of a student-led or co-led online conference or congress, if we can call it that, to say beyond the yearly congresses, which is mostly physical, but also online, that we can have a completely online congress, either within half a year or actually within different regions where student members as well as emerging researchers will be the focus, and they're able to present their papers and get certificates as well. This can be at hugely discounted rates or even at a free rate. I also really wish to push for more workshops and mentorship programs. And what can this be? We can think about academic writing for publication workshops. We have a lot of emerging academics who are not well published and do not understand the processes involved, but also the politics of publication. If we can have those, then we can have a lot more of our members who are into publication. We can look at developing workshops or mentorship programs on innovative research methodologies. You know, Nin, for instance, is speaking about the use of the technology. You know, how can technology be used in research methodologies? But also colleagues who have diverse research methodologies can conduct research workshops, imparting this knowledge directly to our members, especially the students and emerging academics, but also having leadership skills empowerment programs or workshops. We have leaders here who have been in leadership for quite a number of years. How can we actively and intentionally transmit the skills to emerging students and anthropologists. So this for me are two key areas that I'm really interested in: student-led conferences, workshops, and mentorship programs that have direct impact on our students, but also on emerging anthropologists. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Okay, oops. Okay, sorry, I clicked on the video instead of the sound. Okay, thank you very much, Gabriel. And thank you. And now we will have, let's move on to Christina Rocha's video to change a bit, and then we'll come back to Ed and Michelle. The problem is that I just got a message in the chat from our communications officer, Tian, saying that Veronica's video is set as private. So I don't know how we'll be able to watch it, right? It's a problem. Let's see if she responds, because she needs to click to allow us to see it. But can we see now Christina Rocha's video, please? So Christina Rocha, like I said, is an Australian candidate, which is actually very interesting because we haven't had any member from that area of the world. As soon as you can do it, please, Tian.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see a video coming up?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm going to play now.
I'm an anthropologist of religion and director of the Religion and Society Research Cluster at Western Sydney University, and I've been a member of
Tian, the sound disappeared.
Were you able to hear the sound at all or not?
Yeah. In the beginning, we could hear it, but actually the video started playing about 3 seconds after she started, because she sent me that and I heard it this morning. And it starts with her presentation saying, I am Christina Rocha, and we didn't hear that. But in the beginning, we could hear, and then all of a sudden the sound disappeared. I don't know why.
Let me share again. Sharing
Share it
video
from the beginning,
Zoom.
Is it possible?
Yes. Okay, let's try again.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Rocha and I'm an anthropologist of religion and director of the Religion and Society Research Cluster at Western Sydney University, and I've been a member of the Australian Anthropological Society since 2005. I'm originally from Brazil, where I did my undergrad and master's degree at the University of São Paulo, and then I did my PhD at WSU in Australia. And I've taught anthropology here in Australia at the Australian National University, at Macquarie University, and at Western Sydney. I have also held visiting positions and year-long fellowships where I worked with anthropologists in France, in the UK, the US, Germany, the Netherlands, and Japan. And the focus of my work has been on globalization and localization, with a particular attention to global immobilities, mobilities, religion, and asymmetries of power between the global north and the global south. So in this context, as somebody who has been working on translating knowledge across a diversity of cultural languages and income geographies and languages for the past 25 years, I feel that I can play a role in building bridges across a multiplicity of national anthropological traditions and in translate anthropological knowledge to the public sphere. I think the latter, the public sphere, is very important at a time when the social sciences are being devalued globally. So as a member of the WCAA committee, I work to strengthen the global reach of the Council and consolidate global anthropology. And I propose to do this practically via a series of Zoom events across different regions to discuss how to support our discipline as it's being under attack and defunded in universities across the world, how to support early career researchers in precarious jobs, and how the WCAA can support different anthropological associations locally. I'm also keen to support and continue the Zoom lectures that Clara Saraiva has been convening with others, they have been very inspiring in the past years. and I'm keen to work collaboratively, collegially, and ethically to strengthen the discipline of anthropology internationally. And so, yeah, this is what I'll propose to do as a committee member. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Okay, Tian, thank you so much. So this is Christina. I know personally, I know Christina, I've known Christina for a long time because we are both anthropologists of religion. So we've known each other. And I was present in when she got her prize from the section, the Anthropology of Religion section of AAA, which was actually in the Vancouver Casca AAA Congress just before COVID, 2019. And she couldn't be here today because, as you know, it's the middle of the night in Australia, and she had something really important the upcoming morning, so within a few hours, so she couldn't make it. So in the interest of parity, we should now have the video of Veronica and then move on to Ed and Michelle. But Tian, has Veronica answered about the video sharing? Because no?
Not yet, but if anyone has her contact, please send her a WhatsApp message. I have requested video access through her email address, but there's no
Yeah, the
response.
problem is she did write that she couldn't attend, and I think Gonzalo just said that she's in a funeral. She might not be reading her emails or WhatsApp or whatever. I don't have her WhatsApp. I just have her mail contact. It's Veronica Lucia Lopez Tesore, but I don't have her contact directly. Leah, do you? Leah might have, and I saw that Leah's here. Leah, if you do, Leah, can you please send her a message just saying if she can click so that the video is available? So in the
Yes,
interest of time, thank you. In the
I
interest
have
of
already
time,
sent a message.
thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Leah.
And in the interest of time, we'll move on to the presentation of Ed and Michelle, and then let's hope that Veronica comes in between. I just want to say something because I made a bad mistake in the beginning when I spoke about everyone who was stepping down from the current WCAOC, and I forgot, although I mentioned her name, I forgot to say that Helen McDonald, our treasurer, is also stepping down. Okay, just to make that correction. Okay, so Ed, please, Ed Lebo from the US.
Greetings, everybody. I'm speaking to you from my home in Washington, D.C. And I just want to say that I would be honored to serve as the WCAA treasurer if selected by the delegates. I see this role as essentially bringing sound financial management expertise to the organization, which needs reporting transparency and timely oversight of both accounts payable and receivable. I do have considerable relevant experience in the business management arena. I did serve as the treasurer for the American Anthropological Association for 6 years and for the ethnographic practice and industry community. I actually helped the EPIC, the Ethnographic Practice and Industry Community, establish its bank account accounting procedures, and subsequently to get it incorporated as a not-for-profit organization that's eligible for philanthropic support. And in 2024, at the invitation of the WCAA Organizing Committee and the WOW Steering Committee, I did the same for the World Anthropological Union. We are now registered. We now have bank accounts. We are now eligible for philanthropic support, thanks to the work of a number of people who are on this call, and Helen McDonald, who Clara has mentioned, is stepping aside from this role. I also served for nearly 11 years as the executive director of the American Anthropological Association, and during that time managed its annual budget of about US $6 million each year, and a reserve account of 15 million US dollars. I made a major point during my time there as trying to put the AAA on a different footing in the world anthropological community, working very closely with counterparts at the WCAA, the IUAES, and then the World Anthropological Union. My own personal background, before I was named the AAA director, I had a long career with an NGO here in the States where I was the director of Centers for Public Health Research and Evaluation, and conducted a considerably varied range of research over nearly 30 years in environmental, public health, and social policy issues. So I think I have relevant business management expertise, and despite being in the United States, a keen interest in global anthropologies, and I think have demonstrated that over the course of decades of working to try to reset the relationship of American anthropology with the world anthropologies. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Ed Libo. So now we will move on to Michelle Bouchard, and let's see if Tian, in the meanwhile, can open Veronica's video so that we can listen to her at the end. So Michelle Bouchard from Canada, please.
So Michel Bouchard, so professor of anthropology at the University of Northern British Columbia. My research has covered many topics. So I started first, I guess, looking at French-speaking minority communities, of which I am from. So I grew up as French speaker in Northern Alberta. So I speak French, English, learned Russian, now trying to learn Ukrainian. So I bring, I guess, a variety of languages, I guess, to my duties. I studied language, sociolinguistics, what helps minorities, in a sense, not lose their language, not lose their culture. So I started first with French speakers in Canada. Then I moved to Russian speakers, the Russian-speaking community of Estonia, I guess particularly the city of Narva on the Russian border. So if World War III starts, that might be it. I guess that might be the place, for better or for worse. Then I moved into Russia long before the war started, looked at issues again, their ethnicity, identity, the ethnohistory of the Russian ethnic identity, looking at also the rise of Russian nationalism. So looking at how, I guess, the concept of what it means to be Russian and how it justifies Russian imperialism by always calling it the defense against fascists, which sadly is very, in a sense, I guess, as we see it now, I guess, in the multiple wars, first with, I guess, the Georgian Republic, then with Ukraine, I guess, and others, the continuing atrocities that are there. And now I'm shifting to Ukraine, where I'm looking at now specifically memes and war, and how this is a means of defining identity, defining nations, helping resistance, and how people position themselves. And eventually looking at social linguistics. So after the war, what will happen to the Russian speakers of Ukraine? What will be the ways, in a sense, communities will adapt, will change, in a sense, and will create a new, I guess, a new community afterwards. Now, shifting to my role, I guess, with the WCAA, since I have been here since the conference, the Congress in Brazil, in Florianópolis. Yes, and I think what I've had to deal with were a number of challenges. So in those years, we've dealt with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which put a kibosh on the Congress that was organized in Russia. We've had COVID. Then we had to deal with issues such as how to organize elections online, which I came up with the election buddy system. Then with, I guess, helping Clara define the technology to be able to do things online. So with Zoom and other means, I guess, and then eventually working with, I guess the communications offer, and I'm glad we have now 10 in place. And I think our goal is to increase the communication between members, but also outwards. So I'm happy, in a sense, to work with Tian to bring back to the newsletter, but to bring it as a WOW newsletter. So trying to get, maybe we'll need some more resources, make it professional, make it more web searchable, make it, I guess, be able to send it out. And one of the goals, and hopefully, I guess, with the support of Tian and others, is how we can reach out to the new media. So online, short videos, and the like, in order to, I guess, to let the rest of the world know that we are, in a sense, I guess, that we're still here.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. And it's good because when I spoke in the beginning about the duties of the different tasks that people undertake as part of the board. Of course, I did mention the webinars, the delegates meetings, but I didn't talk about the newsletter, which is also very important, or for instance, the publication Déjà Lu, which we will definitely talk about once we meet with the new OC, which is actually a way for world anthropology and anthropology in different languages to get across to various readers who will not read just in English. So those are things that we do. We'll talk about it later. But so now there's only Veronica missing. Tian, were you able to access the video that Veronica Tesore sent?
Yes. So.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's watch that.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone for getting the video. And Ed and Leah, thank you.
Hello everyone, many thanks to the Electoral Committee for organizing this event. I'm Veronica Lopez Tesore. I'm currently the president of the Latin American Anthropology Association. I'm professor in the anthropology program at the National University of Rosario in Argentina. I applied for one of the available positions on the WCAA Organizing Committee. The purpose of this presentation is to improve the relationships between the anthropologists of Latin America and the Caribbean and the anthropologists of the world. In the current neoliberal context with conservative governments that exacerbated inequality, violence, racism, and xenophobia, coupled with a lack of funding for education and science, it is essential to promote space for dialogue at the local, national, and regional and global levels that renew the promise of critical, engaged, and transformative anthropologists. These objectives are common to my current ALA president to raise awareness and consolidate anthropologists in Latin America and the Caribbean, to promote reflections on ethics in anthropological practice, to promote and support teaching, research, production, and anthropological knowledge, among others. Therefore, I propose as part of the WCAA Organizing Committee members to 1. Coordinate the WCAA Organizing Committee with national or regional anthropological associations. 2. Participate in meetings convened by the WCAA Organizing Committee and the WOW Steering Committee. 3. Monitor the activities of the working groups, recruit new members for WCAA, assist in editing Déjà Lu, or perform other necessary tasks, such as planning the quarterly WCAA delegates meeting via Zoom and overseeing and aiding relevant content to the WCAA website. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So thank you very much to Veronica, although she's not here. So I think with Veronica, we have finalized the presentations of all the candidates that we had. We had Gonzalo, we had Francesca, we had Neen, we had Gabriel, we had Ed, we had Michelle, and now we had Veronica. So those are all the candidates for the new WCAOC. And I will now meet just with Michelle because we have to organize some of the bureaucracy concerning this election. But as I said, the people who are eligible to vote will have the online voting system open, probably starting tomorrow for at least 1 week. We might even do it for a bit longer, but everyone will get an email from Michelle and the communication officer explaining all the steps they need to go through to vote. Now, of course, I'll open up to discussion. So who wants to ask questions to the candidates? Please just raise your hands and I'll give you the floor. Gordon?
Yes, I have less of a question than just a general comment that maybe you can ask me questions about. Your presentations were terrific. I really loved hearing from all of you, every one of you. I'm not going to be in WCA meetings anymore unless I'm asked to come for some specific purpose, but you guys are great. This is exactly what we need. However, while your presentation showed a great deal of imaginative vigor, terrific, there are other qualities that are really important in being in WCA. And you guys, like Ed and Michelle, know this well, but others of you may not. First of all, conscientiousness. Just coming to meetings regularly, on time, and speaking up, being able to do that, and answering email really quickly, because many times we do need to act rather quickly, being aware of that. And then secondly, the ability to get along with colleagues who may disagree with you. I mean, Leah, I enormously appreciate you, even though your face just vanished, because we've gotten along so well despite having somewhat different views, and that's exactly what we need to do. So for all of you who are coming in new, these are two traits that are extraordinarily important. Maybe even more important than vision, although that's important too. Conscientiousness and punctuality and the willingness to engage in people different from you. So, do you have any questions about that? Because you might not know, those of you who are new, what this role will entail. And Clara and I will be happy to answer any of questions you may have about this, if there are any.
Thank you so much, Gordon, and for pointing that out. Some of the people here, I've dialogued with them either through WhatsApp or through email. And yes, of course, yeah, the willingness to be there, to be punctual, to be at meetings, not to miss meetings, unless, of course, there's a extraordinary event, and also to be able to dialogue. And I must say that we are not the United Nations, which, as you all know, unfortunately, does not seem to work anymore. But we are an association that privileges diplomacy, because as Gordon was saying, sometimes it's hard to get people together when they come from totally different parts of the world and different views, even political views, which we are all entitled to have, right? And Gordon has thus far, and I hope he continues to chair this task force on anthropological values, and that's one of the things we have discussed. I mean, are we anthropologists entitled, or should we directly interfere with politics? How much of politics and of different political views should be allowed within anthropology? One of the things we have discussed also in webinars is, should we as anthropologists accept somebody who is totally right-wing? So this is just an example, but it's something that Gordon just addressed, which is the willingness to be diplomats, to be able to dialogue with colleagues who might have totally different views.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any question for me or Gordon on this?
But 1 second, Gabriel, before you answer, even more conscientiousness. Come to
Even
meetings
more.
and answer email quickly, be involved. That's most essential.
Exactly. Gabriel?
Thank you so much, colleagues. And so mine is not a question, but it's to say, from my part, there's a lot of diversity that we have within the ASNA committee, and needing to lead that committee requires a lot of diplomacy. And WOW has just experienced some crisis. We've experienced a couple of issues within the past few months, and I recall what the deputy president simply looking at me and saying, "I wonder how you stay calm in this very muddy and very difficult waters." And I simply said to her, "Well, someone has to stay calm, because if I lose my cool, then what happens, right?" So, definitely, I'm happy to engage in difficult conversations. And for me, the most important thing in all of those conversations is understanding and respect. And that I have no problem disagreeing with a person, But how do I go about doing that? That for me then becomes really important, that we can disagree and we agree that, yes, we don't agree on this point, but I still respect you and I see your point. So I definitely bring that with me with some good amount of experience. And of course, ASNA meets every 2 weeks. And around conferences, we meet every week. And in my department, in the anthropology department, we have meetings every week. So I'm quite familiar with engaging in multiple meetings, and I will be very happy to participate in meetings when needed. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Great, Gabriel, great. Anyone else?
Gabriel, I'll shut up in just a second, but very quickly. A lot of the problems we have in WCA are not so much about large-scale policy issues, but something very practical of we should spend $5,000 for that? No, that's crazy. I mean, these kinds of things that are more on the month-to-month issue of how we proceed. And for that, we need definite diplomacy. I think you'd be good at it from all you're saying, but often it's not the more overt ideological issues. It's more directly of how we deal on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. But that's really important to be able to do it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gordon. Anyone else wants to say something on this, or anyone else has comments, questions?
Hello, this is me. I can't open my video.
It's okay,
lest
we can
I
hear you.
fall
It's okay.
off. Yeah.
Just keep it like that. We can hear you well.
Okay, I appreciate the reminder. And I completely agree. One has to be reliable. One has to be in touch with colleagues all the time, especially during peak seasons. I myself had very difficult conversations with my Filipino colleagues over what's happening in Palestine. There was like a month-long conversation about whether we should write a statement, whether that statement should include strong convictions, etc. And although at the first instance we didn't really have good outcomes in terms of actually writing that statement, we did come up with one. But I think what's important is that we keep talking to each other. We keep coming back to the table to talk it out. But I've had also colleagues who have walked out just because they don't like speaking to younger anthropologists. And yeah, these are the things I've had experiences with, but I do really value conversation and dialogue, even if it gets really difficult or challenging.
Thank you so much, Neen, for your contribution. Anyone else wants to say something? Like Gordon used to say, speak up. That's Gordon's line, but I'll use it. Wait, let me move this to see if I see any hands up. I don't see any hands up. No one has any comments, questions? I just want to add a comment to what Michelle was saying, Gordon was saying. Yeah, there's commitment, there's of course diplomacy, and there are also practical issues, like Gordon was saying. Sometimes we have to decide on very practical things, and sometimes we have to also be practical for other reasons, such as one of the things we're going to have to deal with is the fact that we will have people from basically all over the world. And so, you know, that west east time zones, that is a problem, but we'll manage. We normally have, as I said, one meeting a month, and we'll have, up till now, 2 p.m. UTC has been the best time available for everyone, the best time for the meetings, because it kind of conceals the Western time zones in the East. But for colleagues in the East, of course, it's always hard. So actually, Gordon has to be also praised for that, because often we had meetings that for him lasted until 11 or 12. And also James Chen, our colleague from China. So but it's only once a month, and we'll try to figure out to see if we can sometimes change the time so that colleagues from the East, and I'm thinking of James Chen, who's not here today, but he's in the OC, but I'm thinking of Neen And I'm also thinking of our colleague from Australia, if she's elected. Of course, we need to sort that out. We'll sort it out. I'm always very optimistic. We'll sort that out. The basic thing is that we are all willing to work together and do things for anthropology, and then we'll make it. We can, you know, we can do it. It's workable. So does anyone else have questions, comments? Gonzalo has his hand up. Please, Gonzalo.
Thank you, Clara. Just short about what Gordon and you have said right now. I think we don't have to agree in everything, but it's what is really important for me, and I talk about my experience in different arenas, that is to understood why we don't agree. Yeah, you can put that away. Yeah? And also about all what can made in WCAA is a gifted relation. So we are giving time as an emotion gifted option. So I will be delighted that the people that are here and trying to be elected, I think that everyone have the same spirit. So the spirit of giving time for each other, and this is always a collective project. So we don't see WCAA as an individual project. We have to see it because it's association from association. So that will be also to string out the possibility to make also give relations inside anthropology. That is for me very significant and important. Just that.
Sorry, I muted myself and I was talking. I was saying thank you so much, Gonzalo. Anyone else wants to say something? Anyone else? I can see people who are not candidates, like Antonio, like Muggsy, like Dorothy, like Sylvia. Does anyone want to ask anything to the candidates? Or do the candidates want to say anything else besides what they said in their 5 minutes? Leah, do you want to ask something? Or Antonio? Nope. You feel that you have been informed. Okay. So if this is the case, we will just close the session. I want to once again thank everyone for being here at 3, which was very nice. So we had 1.5 hours to discuss all this. And this is normally the time we want, the period that we want the meetings of WCAOC to last. Ideally, it would be 1 hour. I must say realistically that we never make it in 1 hour. We sometimes have 2 hours, but I'm going to really try my best as chair to have meetings that last up to 1.5 hours. If we can do it faster in 1 hour, I will follow Ed's advice here. I think it's very good if people exchange the issues that need to be taken care of, to be addressed in the meetings, so that we don't make these meetings linger on. So our aim will be to have 1 to 1.5 hour meetings time. And I want to really thank everyone for being here today, the people who presented, the colleagues that were sharing their presence with us, listening to all the candidates. And as I said, tomorrow, everyone will get all the details of how they are going to vote, for how long, etc. The reason I'm not stating this publicly today is that now I'm going to talk a bit with Michelle and Tian, and also because tomorrow, Friday, it's the first Friday of the month of October, so we will have our final meeting of the committee that is stepping down, so of the organizing committee that is stepping down, and so I do want to address all this, well, the way this presentation went with this this committee that has been on duty and has done such a great job for the past 4 years. And so thank you to all once again. Thank you to Gordon for helping also with the questions, and to Michelle for doing the secretariat of this elections, and to our communication officer. And we will hopefully see you. Then when we have the elections completed, and we will of course publicize who made it, we will then set the date for the first WCAOC meeting. As I said, normally it would be on the first Friday of the month, which would be November 7th, but it's going to be a bit hard because that coincides with the Guatemala Congress. So some of us will be there, and the ones that will be there will try to set a meeting. If I see that I don't have any duties in the conference at that time, we may even set a meeting where some people are there and some people will be online. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll arrange for, even if it's an extraordinary date, for us to talk for the first time, to, you know, decide on roles, who's going to do that, etc. But, you know, it might take 1 or 2 months, but things will flow, and they will for sure work well for the new organizing committee. And so thank you very much to all, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or good night to all, depending on where you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It would be nice
Bye
to
bye.
Bye-bye.
Muchas gracias.
Thanks to the candidate.